I'm your host, Kelly Morgan, indie author and indie publisher. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. Welcome to today's episode. Hey everybody, it's Kelly. Welcome to another episode of The Author's Mic. And since it's Black History Month, I think I'm going to stick on the theme because it's Black History Month. And so I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they had said something to the effect of, like, when I post, I feel like nobody sees me. I feel like nobody's paying attention, like I'm posting into a void. And I can 100% relate to all of that. But I also think that there's a big difference between being unseen and being undervalued. There's a difference between silence from, say, a platform like Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and then the lack of impact in real life. And so that's what I want to talk about today, because sometimes the word invisible doesn't really tell the whole story, right? So as a author of color, as a Black creator, we have never been absent from culture, right? People of color and Black authors have been never been absent from storytelling. If anything, I think we can honestly say that we've watched our work get watched, borrowed, remixed, and then mass marketed for a very long time. So when we say invisible, I don't think we're naming what's actually happening. And so I'm just going to put it out there. We are often naming something else. And so what I think we're saying is that we're not being credited, right? Um, Sometimes we mean when we're invisible that we're not being compensated. Sometimes when we say we're invisible, we actually mean we're not being supported. Sometimes when we say that we might feel invisible, we mean that we're not being amplified in places where opportunity may live. Sometimes we're being seen, right? But we're not being valued. And that to me is a big difference than being invisible. And so this matters for authors because the publishing world can do the same thing. I mean, a book can be absolutely brilliant and it can be treated like it doesn't belong everywhere. An author can be incredibly talented, right? And still get boxed into a category that reaches limits, that kind of keeps you. I said where the limits are kind of held down like this. A story can be universal, but it can be marketed like it's only for a certain type of audience. And that's not invisibility. That's positioning. That's gatekeeping. And that's the system deciding who gets the default and who gets to be the exception. So when I say we were never invisible, I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's feelings. I know what that's like to post and hear crickets. I get that. But I also know what it's like to put your work out into the world and wondering if anybody's paying attention. I get that too. But then I also know that the algorithm doesn't get to be the judge of whether you matter or not, right? So value isn't determined by likes. Your voice is not validated by views, and your work is not less powerful because a certain platform didn't push it out to the masses. And sometimes what's happening is not because people don't see you, right? It's because the system isn't built to distribute you fairly. And that can be true on social media and it can be true in publishing, right? Black History Month to me is a reminder that even when systems have tried to erase us, we kept creating anyway. We kept writing anyway. We kept telling our stories anyway. We kept building because we're not invisible and because we have never refused as a people to be invisible. And you know what? We don't get to let the system choose the spotlight. So here's the question that I want to leave you with if you're an author and you're listening. Are you truly invisible, or are you in a system that doesn't know what to do with your kind of power? Because there's a huge difference. And I'm going to say it again. I'm going to ask you the question again. Are you invisible, or are you in a system that doesn't know truly what to do with your kind of power, right? That's a huge question. And it's one that I ask myself. So the moment that you stop letting the system define your worth, you start moving differently, right? You start writing from your truth instead of performing. And I'm always talking about performing for that pesky algorithm. Stop performing. You start building readership instead of chasing attention. And you start focusing on what lasts, not spikes. Because honestly, as an author of color, you were never invisible. You've always been here. We've always been writing, creating stories, storytelling. It's just a part of who we are. But sometimes I think the system doesn't treat us the way that it should. And so I just wanted to say that if you're an author of color, know this: you are not invisible. Your work is phenomenal. And Black History Month is a great time to highlight that. It shouldn't be the only time, but it's a great time to highlight your work as an author of color. So, let me give you my laundry list of things before I let you go. As always, if you're creative in this space and you'd like to share the author's mic with me, all you have to do is go to my website, go to the Be a Guest tab, fill out the information, and you are a guest. It is truly that simple. If you are on your author journey and you're looking for some good information to help you, I have a guide on my website. I turned it into a flip book. And then it's also a PDF. It's free. Go get it. Start your journey because your words matter. If you're interested in supporting me, I have two books out there: You Sound White, which is print only, and then Wait for It, which is also an audiobook and print. I have the books here. I'm happy to ship them to you at no charge. I've got some free goodies, but if you are in fact interested in supporting me, you can get them wherever good books are sold. No pressure at all. And then lastly, if you are somebody who is twofold, let me back up. The Brighthead Publishing, we have a book club. It's called the IRS. You can join us as a reader. One of my goals for 2026, and I'm going to put it for every time I make a post, is to grow the book club. Why do I want to grow the book club? Because the book club only supports indie authors, and it's another way to help the right author get their book into the hands of a reader it will resonate with. So, twofold: you are a reader, you can join us. It's free to join. Would love to have your voice, would love to have you participate. All the information's on the website. If you are an author, you can pitch us because, again, we only read indie authors. Right now, at the time that I'm recording this, we don't have a book to read. I'm hoping that we will. So maybe it's your book if you pitch us. I always say, if you don't tell us, we don't know. Right, y'all? So this has been another episode of The Author's Mic. I was talking about feeling invisible, especially as an author of color, but knowing that we were never invisible, right? Our culture, the things that we create are always watched, reproduced, and then mass marketed, right? So we are incredibly creative. Don't confuse invisibility with validation, right? All right, keep writing, and I'll catch you next Wednesday.